that is why, although they lived in a sense of hopelessness, having been already titled that India is one of the fragile five, lived in hopelessness because the government was not responsive. The government then was not responsive. There was policy paralysis and absolutely no understanding of what the poor people were going through. Corruption was rampant. Corruption was rampant and terrorists were also playing havoc with our country. Didn't we all know that? And that is why in 2014, the people of India gave a very big mandate for the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, and that is why when he was chosen as the Prime Minister candidate, after the victory, when he went in to the Lok Sabha, his first gesture was to bow his head at the entrance of the parliament, which represents India's democracy. And after that, the first thing he said was that this government is committed for the welfare of the poor. And to keep that spirit up, literally, I would think if all of us can count the number of decisions that this government has taken in the last 5 years, I would think it's an average of at least one decision per day, each of the 5 years, that led to a transformational change that India is witnessing today. And that is why I would think today, as we stand here to discuss this political resolution, I call it an historic occasion. Yesterday, when Adhyakshji spoke, he said, what is the importance? We cannot have another situation like the way in which Battle of Panipat was fought. India's loss then cannot become an exercise now. Even in the frailest of moments, an Indian voter cannot be taken away from the mammoth work which is going on today. We should, as Karyakartas of BJP, highlight, I would think, two important things that this resolution highlights. We have not had one major terrorist attack in this country after 2014. Let us remember that. Remind our people that this country has led a peaceful 5 years. There are, of course, disturbances in the border, but the Indian Army has made sure that every attempt to come into this country is eliminated, even at the border. And therefore, this government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has ensured one thing pakka, that there shall not be an opportunity for the terrorists to disturb the peace of this country. And second, which is equally important, corruption-free 5 years. Absolutely no corruption in this country, not even a whisper of corruption in this country under the leadership of the Prime Minister Modi. And therefore, if an ordinary man wants to live in peace and bereft of corruption, so that his daily life, he doesn't have to give 2 rupees here, 5 rupees here, 100 rupees there, even to live his normal life. That's the life ease that Prime Minister Modi has brought in. One of the early decisions, if all of you all can remember, was even when you're going in for a grade C, grade 4 or 5 level jobs, your attestation should not be one of the things on which you spend 5 rupees or 100 rupees to even have your own certificate attested. So from smaller reforms to larger reforms, he has been giving attention for good governance. That is why we pride ourselves to say, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. If that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas has to continue, we cannot lose momentum. We need to have the reforms continue, not little marginal reforms, but transformatory reforms. And for that, it is only the vision of leadership under Prime Minister Modi that this country can foresee a bright future. And towards that, I remind you, during the campaign in 2013, I remember Prime Minister Modi saying, and also afterwards, telling Pakistan, India and Pakistan should not be fighting. India and Pakistan should not be fighting at all. But if we fight, we should be fighting against poverty. That was the line he gave to Pakistan, and we as India are strictly following that. Every measure taken by Prime Minister Modi, whether it is Jan Dhan Yojana, or direct benefit transfer of resources to the poor, or mobile-based banking that we want to do through linking of bank accounts, and also several reforms such as agricultural reforms, e-market for agriculture produce, all this is happening to benefit the normal Indian citizen. Housing, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, houses for Pakka houses for the poorest of poor. All this is happening because we were able to maintain peace in this country. No disturbance has been handled at the borders without peace being the first priority. And in that process, I like to highlight the fact Pakistan has been isolated in the world arena. It is because of the diplomacy, the personal level of diplomacy that Prime Minister Modi follows, maintaining relationship with every possible country. Because today, we are living in a multipolar world. A multipolar world where you can't have just one group alignment, but you need to maintain relationship with every country. And if Prime Minister Modi in this 5 years has built relationship with leaders of the world, that is one of the reasons we are able to achieve several milestones. Today, India in the international forum is wanted across the world. We are given even membership in one of the most difficult and high table, which is the Missile Technology Control Regime, which is the MTCR. That couldn't have been possible unless Prime Minister Modi maintained his diplomatic relationship with all leaders of the global community. India was successful, again I repeat, in isolating Pakistan only because of the personal efforts put by Prime Minister at various international fora. Today Pakistan is feeling the heat, and that is the reasons why many of those groups which are unofficial groups, which are supported by Pakistan, were playing havoc in this country, are stopped at the border. We even showed very clearly when opposition in the country, in India itself, did not believe what the government was saying and asked for proof, repeatedly for proof on surgical strikes. We showed them the proof only because it had to be shown for our opposition. Whereas outside, the same opposition, I'm ashamed to say, the same opposition, some of the leaders of Congress party went to Pakistan to seek help to remove Prime Minister Modi's government. A big shame on our opposition that they went to Pakistan and said, "Hame madad kariye inko hatane ke liye." That is the kind of rajniti they play, and we are against that kind of dirty politics which the Congress party is playing. Therefore, I would like to remind each one of us that the importance of today, particularly when we remember the birthday of Swami Vivekananda, we have to get up and move and awaken the citizens of India that today's need is for a clean government, a nationalist government, a government which is committed to provide clean administration. Feeling the heat, the opposition today doesn't know what it has to say. It is lost for decency. It has lost every account of public demeanor, that they call different names of our Prime Minister. Nitin Gadkari was right in saying a Prime Minister is Prime Minister for the country, not just for one party. And our opposition, particularly the leader of Congress party, abuses chosen bad words which you would never imagine using against a Prime Minister. I am ashamed to say that repeated reminding him of decorum in public life has not helped. We hope the Congress party would counsel its president to conduct itself with the decorum which is becoming of a national party. I think what is important for us at this stage is for us to go back to every voter and remind them of the great work which is going on in the last 5 years, as I said, in difficult circumstances, because we inherited quite a few things from the corrupt Congress, and that had to be cleansed, and therefore so many different measures are being taken up, which are otherwise very difficult. Many politically conscious political parties will not take such steps because it requires a dare, it requires a courage, which only a leadership like the leadership that we have can take up. Nitinji also spoke about the roads and many infrastructure that is being built. I can tell you for sure, the condition in the borders, particularly for infrastructure, I'm very grateful to Nitin Gadkari, who has spent a lot of time to remember that our borders also will have to be well connected so that this country can live in peace. We also have made sure that the Indian Armed Forces are given the best of equipments. You all are aware that we've bought one of the most expensive Air Force equipment from Russia, the S-400, which will give us protection for our Air Force. We obviously, the much discussed best of aircraft, fighter aircraft, Rafale, has been bought with a sense of urgency, on which the Congress party spent 10 years because they did not get what they wanted, not the legitimate earning for the government, but something else, as a result of which they did not take the decision on Rafale. And our Prime Minister understood the urgency and requirement of the Indian Air Force. That is why he made sure that he would buy 2 squadrons of 36 Rafale aircrafts, and that shall land this year. In September, you will get the best of fighter aircrafts for Indian Air Force. Similarly, on small things, even bullet-proof vests were not bought for Indian soldiers. Bulletproof vest tak hi karida nahi gaya. Our soldiers were being left without even bulletproof vests. That decision was also taken by Prime Minister, so that our soldiers are given the best of protection. Above all, the one rank, one pension, a major step forward in the welfare of all our soldiers. Nearly 8,000 lakh crores are being spent on it. And that is a decision on which even the Congress party did only a token gesture, 500 crores. 500 crores only was given by the Congress party. Whereas after our Prime Minister came, he took a call that he has to address this issue of one rank, one pension. I appeal each and every worker of this party, Karyakarta, should go meet ex-servicemen and tell them that this government has been the most caring for all the defense forces. Terrorist modules are also being finished off. Naxals are not able to raise their head. I remember the excellent work Chief Minister Raman Singh had done when he was in Chhattisgarh. He's now here in the National Party. I'd like to remind you, on women's welfare too, this government has done excellent work. Some of the best scientific achievements have also been achieved here. Mangalyaan, ISRO, you have history being made each time. And finally, I would just want to tell you, Mananiya Advani ji ko namaskar. So finally, I would want to tell you, our country is at a very historically important stage. Globally, India is sought after. We are one of the shining examples for growth, maintaining growth, sustaining over 7% growth. We shall be the third biggest economy sooner. At this time, when best of reforms are happening, when daring reforms are happening, reforms about which only Congress party spoke and did nothing is happening, we as BJP Karyakarta will have to today solemnly take a resolve, make a resolve that we will go back and work till the results of this election, coming Lok Sabha election are declared. And in that, the motto that we have is written above there for all of us to see. Ab ki baar, fir se Modi Sarkar. Should we say this once, all together? Ab ki baar, fir se Modi Sarkar. Ab ki baar, ab ki baar. धन्यवाद.